Hey guys, welcome to Y&R Daily Update YouTube channel. Today's topics: Y&R's Michelle Stafford offers fresh perspective on life as a single mother. On Soapy, Michelle Stafford opened up about her life as a single mom and offered a new perspective that most people haven't considered. The Young and the Restless star, Michelle Stafford, shared rare insights into her life as a single mom. She can relate to Phyllis, who's fiercely protective of her kids, Daniel and Summer. The soap actress offered a fresh perspective that many single mothers haven't considered. Key takeaways: Michelle Stafford shared the challenges of raising two kids as a single mother. She had both of her children via gestational surrogate. Stafford appeared on the Soapy podcast with Rebecca Budig and Greg Rickert. Michelle Stafford. On being a single mother, Stafford is a superwoman. She plays Phyllis on Y&R and has her own skincare brand. The soap actress revealed how she managed to juggle it all while being a single mom on the Soapy podcast. Stafford admitted to podcast hosts Rebecca Budig and Greg Rickert that it was brutal but humbling. Budig noted that parenthood isn't easy and isn't for everyone, but she has her husband, Michael Benson, to support her. Stafford offered a fresh perspective on life as a single mother that many might not have considered. Well, I think it's good then, because I actually think what would be worse is having a horrible partner who criticizes you all the time. She shared, man or woman, if you have a partner that's constantly undermining you with your kids, like I know that goes on. Gratitude for the single life. Stafford's fresh perspective makes her more grateful for being a single mother, even if it's not always easy. Rickert shared that he has to clock into the day in a different way when he doesn't have his partner around to help. The Day Star joked that he and his husband, Robert, often butt heads on how to navigate their lives. But when you're single, you have no one to do that with. You have to figure that all out on your own. Stafford is grateful that she has no one to butt heads with either. She's seen that happen in other people's relationships and doesn't want to bring that negative energy into her family life. I've seen it in relationships, and I'm like, oh wow, I don't have that, Stafford admitted. In 2009, Stafford welcomed her first daughter, Natalia, via gestational surrogate. Her second child, son Jameson, was born in 2015. The General Hospital alum doesn't share her personal life on social media. However, she will share photos of her kids, as Y&R viewers might be aware. Stafford took a brief social media break to cap off 2025, but has returned to share more of her life. Subscribe our channel for more latest update. Michelle Stafford has never been one to hide behind a carefully curated image, whether she's stirring chaos as Phyllis Summers on The Young and the Restless or speaking candidly about her real life off-screen. Stafford has built a reputation for honesty that resonates deeply with fans. That's why her recent reflections on life as a single mother, shared through Soapy, have struck such a powerful chord. Rather than offering platitudes or polished Stafford delivers something far more meaningful, a lived-in, evolving perspective on motherhood, independence, sacrifice, and self-forgiveness. It's a conversation that feels especially relevant not just to parents, but to anyone navigating life while trying to balance responsibility with authenticity. What emerges isn't a story about having it all. It's a story about redefining what enough looks like. Michelle Stafford. Beyond the Phyllis Summers persona for decades, fans have associated Michelle Stafford with the fierce, impulsive, and often controversial Phyllis Summers. Phyllis is a woman who lives loudly, makes mistakes publicly, and refuses to apologize for her intensity. While Stafford and Phyllis are not the same, there's a shared throughline: emotional fearlessness. Inner Soapy reflections. Stafford brings that same fearlessness to her role as a single mother, speaking not as a celebrity, but as a woman constantly learning, adjusting, and sometimes questioning herself. That vulnerability is what makes her perspective feel fresh. Rejecting the myth. One of the most striking aspects of Stafford's comments is her rejection of the supermom narrative. She doesn't frame single motherhood as a heroic endurance test or a badge of perfection. Instead, she acknowledges exhaustion, doubt, guilt, moments of feeling stretched to thin. In doing so, she dismantles the unrealistic standard often imposed on single mothers, the expectation that they must be endlessly strong, endlessly patient, and endlessly grateful. Stafford's honesty reframes strength not as perfection, but as persistence with self-compassion. Single motherhood as an evolving identity. Stafford doesn't describe single motherhood as a static role. She speaks about it as something that evolves, sometimes daily. There are seasons of confidence, where she feels grounded in her choices, and there are seasons of uncertainty, where she questions whether she's doing enough. or doing it right. That fluidity is key. Rather than presenting a definitive answer to how single motherhood should look, Stafford emphasizes that it's okay for the experience to change as children grow, and as parents grow with them. Letting go of guilt. One day at a time. Guilt is often an unspoken companion in parenting conversations, and Stafford doesn't shy away from it. She acknowledges that guilt shows up in many forms, working to much not being emotionally available every moment, wanting personal fulfillment alongside parental responsibility. What's refreshing is that she doesn't demonize those feelings, but she also refuses to let them define her. Stafford talks about learning to recognize guilt without letting it run the show. That lesson, she suggests, has been one of the hardest and most liberating parts of her journey. Modeling independence for her children rather than viewing single motherhood solely through the lens of what her children lack, Stafford reframes it as an opportunity to model independence and resilience. She speaks about wanting her children to see a mother who works hard, a woman who values her own growth, someone who isn't afraid to start over or stand alone. In that sense, single motherhood becomes less about absence and more about example. That shift in perspective is subtle, but powerful. The reality of doing it without a script. Stafford is clear about one thing: there is no script for this life. She doesn't claim to have everything figured out, and she openly admits that some days feel like improvisation. That acknowledgement resonates deeply with parents who often feel pressure to appear confident even when they're not. Her message is simple, but radical. Not knowing doesn't mean failing, it means you're human, balancing career and motherhood without apologies. A longtime actress on a demanding daytime schedule, Stafford understands the unique tension between career, ambition, and motherhood. In her soapy reflections, she doesn't apologize for working. She doesn't frame her career as a necessary evil. She frames it as part of who she is. That distinction matters. Stafford pushes back against the idea that motherhood requires Instead, she suggests that honoring one's professional identity can coexist with being a present, loving parent. Why her words resonate with Y&R fans of The Young and the Restless have long appreciated Stafford's ability to bring emotional truth to even the messiest storylines. That same authenticity carries over into her real-life reflections. Viewers who have watched Phyllis navigate love, loss, and regret recognize something familiar in honesty, the refusal to pretend life is neat, the willingness to own mistakes, the courage to keep moving forward, a reminder that behind every soap character is a real person with real complexity. Single motherhood, without the pity of the most refreshing aspects of perspective is her refusal to frame single motherhood as something tragic or deficient. She doesn't ask for sympathy. She doesn't frame her life as a cautionary tale. Instead, she speaks about it as a full life, one with challenges, yes, but also joy, humor, and unexpected strength. That refusal to lean into pity is empowering. Community, not isolation. Stafford also touches on the importance of community, friends, family, and chosen support systems that make single motherhood sustainable. She challenges the idea that independence means doing everything alone. Instead, she frames asking for help as a form of wisdom, not weakness. That perspective is especially important in a culture that often romanticizes self-sufficiency to an unhealthy degree. Learning to be kinder to herself. Perhaps the most emotionally resonant takeaway from Stafford's reflections is her emphasis on self-kindness. She talks about learning to release unrealistic expectations, forgive herself for missed small victories. That self-compassion didn't come easily, it was learned over time, through experience, and it's a lesson many fans find deeply relatable. The rinse perspective. This is why Stafford endures from the rinse viewpoint. Michelle Stafford's longevity both on Y&R and in the hearts of fans comes down to one thing: truth. She doesn't sanitize her experiences. She doesn't offer advice from a pedestal. She speaks from the middle of the journey. That authenticity mirrors what viewers crave in life. Why her perspective feels especially timely in a moment where social media often amplifies curated perfection. Stafford's candidness feels like a corrective. Her reflections remind audiences that life doesn't need to look perfect to be meaningful. Parenting doesn't require flawless execution. Strength can coexist with vulnerability. That message extends far beyond single motherhood.